How many times can you say the wall is closing in? I mean, they've been saying the walls are closing in for like, I don't know, 2 years. Like, at what point do you realize, well, maybe the walls aren't closing in? You know, it you have to admire their dedication to that one phrase.
Donald Trump's done. He's done. There's no question about that. He's done.
Breaking news.
A bombshell.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
The beginning of the end.
And breaking news.
We have another bombshell.
Mike Pence might have to assume the office of the presidency.
The call for impeachment.
Rumblings of the word impeachment.
Breaking news.
Another bombshell out of the White House.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
He may be feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
Breaking news, a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
The beginning of the end of the Trump presidency.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
It's the beginning of the end.
It reminds me a lot of the last days of Nixon.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The wall's closing in.
The wall's closing in.
Breaking overnight bombshell.
This is a very dramatic day, and I think it might be near a tipping point. Do you think this is a tipping point?
This is unbelievable. This is remarkable. Have you ever seen anything like this?
His presidency is crippled.
December 1st, 2017, you can mark it down. This is the day that everything changed.
We begin with the bombshell.
The beginning of the end?
The beginning of the end.
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 In fact, if this were a football game, we're in the third quarter. May even be the beginning of the end.
We begin tonight with the bombshell. Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble.
Trump is in trouble.
The president will resign.
Another hour, another bombshell.
This is a tipping point.
Trump's going down.
Now, if you notice, this isn't all from 1 month or 1 week. They're showing you month by month of his presidency. Now we're into March 2018.
This president could be impeached.
I do not think the president will serve out his term. Resignation. I don't think this president is going to serve out his term. Mr. Trump will not serve out his term. He will not serve out his term. No way. No how.
Breaking news.
Absolute bombshell.
I think Donald Trump is in trouble.
Donald Trump is not. He's done. And it's over.
It's over.
The walls closing in.
The wall's closing in.
This is going to be the Achilles heel.
Breaking news tonight.
I expect Trump to depart.
This week will be the watershed week. Trump is in big trouble.
Trump's in a lot of trouble.
It's a sign of a terrified old man who feels the
Walls
Closing in.
The walls
Are increasingly
Closing in on him.
Tonight, the walls
are closing in.
Today changed everything. This is
the beginning
of the end.
today, the biggest.
Tipping point for the Trump administration.
What a historic day. The bombshells, they fell.
It's entropy and it's crumbling internally.
He's underwater. He feels the walls closing in.
Could his testimony be a
Turning point.
We may be at a tipping point.
It's the beginning of
The end.
The beginning
of the end?
Another bombshell.
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 This is a bombshell.
It is a bombshell.
I am beginning to resent the word bombshell.
Unfortunately, Super Deluxe has been defunded. They're done. But that was a great video by them. Okay, Aaron Mattei, any last words on all this today?
I think that's one of the most important videos that have been made of this Trump era, and it speaks. Like, it's hard to not turn discussions of the media into plugs for outlets like yours, Jimmy, because it's like that video speaks to just how credulous and silly our professional news outlets have been in covering this story. I mean, focusing on these trivial issues, getting stories so wrong, turning into literal conspiracy theorists. I mean, so many of the pundits featured in there, especially Rachel Maddow, as we've talked about, have gone off the deep end with every night pushing this idea on their viewers that Trump is controlled by the Kremlin and refusing to talk about the real issues that impact their lives. I mean, look at all the major cable outlets this week. At least what I saw on MSNBC. I mean, I tried to watch Chris Hayes' show and Rachel Maddow's show. I don't think I saw any coverage of this historic LA teachers strike happening where you are. I mean, like, so it's like the contempt that is shown every day for working people, both in subjecting them to these silly moronic stories and these exaggerated claims about the walls closing in, and then also just in the process sidelining stories that are of actual concern to their lives is just staggering, and it speaks to why we need independent voices like yours, who are willing to, who aren't interested in going along with the pack, and who actually take the facts seriously. And it's always been bizarre to me, just observing as a media consumer and being a part of the media myself, that one of the few places that I've been willing to do their job as in the media in terms of covering real stories and pushing back government claims is a YouTube show hosted by a stand-up comedian, yours. I mean, it's stunning. It's stunning.
Well, I go ahead.
No.
And I think the reason is I'm not trying to get ahead in the TV news business or in journalism. That's not my goal. I already had a career. I already did my thing. And now I'm doing this because I can't believe how bad the guys who do it for a living do it. It's like if you turned on if you went to a comedy club every night and they suck so bad, you started doing comedy yourself because you could do it better. That's what I'm doing now with journalism, because they suck so hard and they do it on purpose. And I point out, they willfully, you can't take, the thing we say about politicians, you can't take money from these people and not think you're not going to do a favor for them. That's exactly why they're paying you. Well, that's exactly why they're paying people at MSNBC $30,000 a day. Why do they pay Chris? Chris says you need $30,000 a day to do the news? No, of course not. They pay him $30,000 a day so they can buy his integrity, which it was up for sale because he's still there. And if you tell the truth about war at MSNBC, they will fire your ass. If you cover Bernie Sanders, they will fire your ass. So he's played along perfectly with them. He hasn't covered Bernie Sanders, and when he does cover him, he doesn't do it. And so here we are again. And he thinks it's a victory when he gets to talk about Yemen for 2 minutes every 2 years. That's the lie he tells himself, is that if I wasn't here, they wouldn't talk about it at all. So that's how he can justify his, penthouse apartment in Manhattan and millions of dollars a year to not cover Bernie Sanders correctly, to not talk about Yemen, because when I do actually get a permission to do it, I'll do it. Other people wouldn't. That's the lie they tell themselves, and they're co-opted by the money. We know the politicians are co-opted by the money. Why wouldn't the journalists be co-opted? I'm dying to be co-opted by the money, and no one's offered me any money. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.